Back, everybody. I'm Jay. He's Maddie. This is Yankee and the Brit. And today we're going to talk some D-Hop.
Yeah, I mean, surprise release from the Cardinals. I mean, not much of a surprise, but I imagine they were wanting a trade out of it. I can't believe they weren't able to get some sort of trade value for him, right?
Yeah, I think it's that contract. And then before I forget, guys, all of you who watch Power Slap, you're obviously on Rumble. So make sure you hit that follow button for Yankee and the Brit on Rumble. And if you don't know what Rumble is, go get it. It's just YouTube with a green icon instead of a red icon.
All right. I don't even know what Rumble is, and I'm on it now, apparently. So
it's the new YouTube. But
right. Okay.
We have a channel over there because now we have a lot of the Power Slap guys coming on, MMA Underground, a lot of the West Coast guys, Power Slap. It's the only place you can find it. So go over to Rumble, get Yankee and the Brit, get Power Slap. And I think Heart in the Fight's over there now too. So make sure you check them out. But I think it was the contract, Maddie. I really think it was the contract. Like the money was, it was like a hair under 20 million, which for a receiver nowadays isn't that much, but for an aging receiver and everybody's salary cap's pretty tight right now. I think that had a lot to do with they finally just releasing him.
Yeah, so he was to have a scheduled cap hit this season of $30.8 million.
Right, but the actual money the team would have traded for, I think, was 20-ish.
And then his $19.45 million was not guaranteed. So I get they don't miss out too much on releasing him. And I think as soon as the rumblings came out about him not wanting to be there, then you're not going to get a lot of trade value. You're not going to get a lot of trade value out of him anyway, especially to teams that he probably doesn't want to go to as well. Like he could make it a situation where he makes it really difficult for them to trade him to somebody who he doesn't want to go to, right? So if they're getting, say, a 5th round pick from the Cleveland Browns or something, which isn't realistic because of what they've done with Deshaun Watson and all of that kind of stuff. But anyway, so they say it's the Cleveland Browns. He could go, okay, you owe me 30 million. You owe me the whole 30. But then if Kansas City came and gave them a 7, he could say, okay, I'll redo my contract. I'll do it for 9. But then the Chiefs will be like, well, may as well just make them release them.
Right. And not that it matters, but the next 2 Cleveland Brown 5th round picks go to the Vikings. But so I have to believe that Arizona overshot the market when they had a chance to trade him and wanted too much, and weren't just going to give him away for a low round pick. Because you think before the drafts or a team that didn't get somebody in the draft would have went after him right away if they still had the money. And I think a lot of teams are looking at that Odell Beckham contract and they're like, that's 15. Like, you know what I mean? We can get D-Hop for more around that and not have to give anything up. My guess is people in the world of the NFL had a feeling he was going to be released just because we didn't, because you know how everybody talks to everybody in those leagues. So I'm sure there was some feeling. I guess the big question is where do you think he ends up?
Yeah, so my first initial thought was the Bills straight away. And then I quickly came down off that and went, holy shit, the Chiefs are going to do it again. I quickly fell off that and went, oh my God, the Chiefs have not a lot of wide receivers going on right now. Their wide receiver room is probably their weakest element. But I mean, this year they managed to turn that weakest element into a strength because they just made Patrick Mahomes actually play Andy Reid's full-on system, and then they were just unbelievable as well. But you've got to imagine that a number 1 wide receiver, which D-Hop still is. D-Hop is still one of the best receivers in the league, is going to just send that team again over the edge. And more importantly for them, it completely changes what they do on offense. So this league is like a catch-up league. Whenever if you play this certain way, you've got to quickly adapt it before people catch up straight away. and they are able to do that with D-Hop. They're able to completely adapt what they've got going on.
Yeah, because their best receivers right now are
Tony,
Valdell Scantlin, Tony, Smith Marset, and Sky Moore.
Yeah. I mean, Ivan Toney's the one that stands out there. Like, Ivan Toney is a good...
I think Amir Marset will be a good receiver, but most people don't know him. I only know him because he was on the Vikings until he threw a fucking tantrum and acted like Joey Jerkoff in the community, and they cut him. But hopefully he learned from that, matured, and then you'll see him. But he's not a very big guy. He's just a really fast guy.
Yeah, and like Tony's fallen into this idea of like a gadget wide receiver, and it's like, oh man. I remember watching that game that the Giants played against the Cowboys where Ivan Toney went absolutely fucking ballistic, and just watching it and just going like, oh my God, this guy is going to trouble us for like 10 seasons to come. But obviously it didn't materialize that way, but he's fallen into this idea of a gadget guy. And I just don't think he is that. I think he's got more talent to be an ex wide receiver 100% and also do the gadget stuff. But if D-Hop goes to the Chiefs and you have Ivan Toney as your 2, that's really good. And you have Valdez Scantling as your 3, and then up and coming Marset, like small, fast guy, like you say.
And then Sky Moore being young.
4. Yeah, and Sky Moore being young, quite mistake prone, but he eventually takes the reins off Valdez Scantling, for example. He takes a few reps like here and there, takes the reps off Valdez Scantling as you go forward. Or if Marset like has another temper tantrum, like you say, and for different sets than Marset as well. That's a really good wide receiver room. And then obviously you've got Patrick Mahomes out the back.
So I personally think he ends up with the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
I know that was the whole offseason. I want OBJ. I want D-Hop, when Lamar was still holding out. Now, Lamar came out and talked about that and said, yeah, I told them I'd like these guys. They said we can probably get one of them, not both. He's like, okay, cool. Like, they made it sound like it was both or nothing for him. You know what I mean? And I feel bad that he didn't really get to defend himself because he'd just look like an asshole if he'd have defended himself during his contract stuff. You know what I mean? So people just got to say shit about this dude that wasn't necessarily true, and he just kind of had to sit back and eat it. So I'm glad he's talking about it now. So, and then I know you and I talked a little bit about like salary cap, but we all know you can make salary cap room if you need to get a guy in there. They'll figure it out. And if you're going to do everything you can to help Lamar Jackson, his best year in 19 when he was MVP, he was throwing the ball in the middle of the field, right? So how's the best way to get that middle of that field open again? OBJ on one side, D-Hop on the other side. You have Perriman, you have Andrews. You know what I mean? Then they're set, and there's no excuses. I think if he's willing to go there, I think they'll probably be the team that's willing to pay him the most money.
Yeah, and it does seem like they've kind of gone a bit more all in now. They've kind of gone, right, so we've taken this Lamar Jackson contract. We got to go for it now. Like, we've got to make this look worth it. It's a shame they didn't do that while he was on his rookie contract. You would think, is that not the time to go? Like, they've all of a sudden realized, like, oh my God, Lamar Jackson is going to get more and more injured if we don't get wide receivers to actually throw the fucking ball to him, if he's just going to have to run it all the time. And Mark Andrews can't keep doing this forever. And it's almost like they've just realized this now when everybody's been telling them the whole entire fucking time. But yeah, and I mean, the Ravens, yeah, I do see it. I do see it there as well with them getting OBJ, with the Ravens' track record of getting wide receivers. Do I trust them enough to actually get him through the door? Weirdly, no, I don't. A team that I was thinking of, and obviously let's just talk about the Bills really quickly as well here. I'm not sure the Bills are actually that great a fit for him the more I've thought about it, because we know that Stephon Diggs likes to throw a bit of a temper tantrum if things aren't going his way. How's he going to feel if he's not the number one? Yeah.
I'm not sure that Diggs is on that team come the first week.
If Diggs leaves, then Hopkins makes perfect sense. But with Diggs on the team, he'll say he's really happy about it because it gives him the chance to win the championship. And he'll be happy with it for the first 5-6 weeks when he's still getting thrown the ball. But when Josh Allen finally makes the connection with D-Hop and D-Hop starts taking more of the plays and more of the plays and more of the plays, I could see Stephon Diggs, and then they lose a game where Stephon Diggs has only touched the ball twice. He's going to blow up. He's going to go absolutely crazy and go off the deep end. And I don't think, which is why I don't think the Bills are a good fit. I think they have other problems to address with that money. The Bills have a surprising amount of holes this year in an increasingly decent division.
And Josh Allen gets let off the hook for all the dumbass shit he does. And I'm not saying he's a dumb quarterback, but other quarterbacks get crucified and Josh Allen gets a pass. And he gets put up there as one of the top 3 or 4 elite quarterbacks. And more, I'm not sure that I even have him in the top 5 anymore. So that's not saying that he's not a great quarterback. I'm just saying that he can't fix everything. He can't do it. And sooner or later, the way he plays, he's going to get himself hurt too. So I think the Bills need to go all in after D-Hop. They should have been blowing up the Vikings' phones for Dalvin Cook. And we'll hit that a little bit at the end. But I don't see what they're doing right now. And you're in a win right now, especially when you got a pissed off Stephon Diggs. If you want to keep him and keep him happy to somewhat extent. And we watched how it can drain a team if Stephon Diggs isn't happy in the middle of a season. So is that getting him more weapons? Because he did well with it was Cousins and Zimmer we heard that he didn't like. You know what I mean? Not having a problem with playing with Adam Thielen, who was getting a lot of the routes to him. But now was it Cousins because he just said a week ago that he'd love to play for KOC and he would never oppose going back to the Vikings, but he loves the Bills. So it was out of both sides of his mouth. So is it the coach he hated? Did he hate not the style? Would he be mad if D-Hop comes in? That's the shit they got to figure out, because I don't care what anybody says. And you know my feelings on Stephon Diggs. Right now, Stephon Diggs is a better receiver than Hopkins.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. You're better with Diggs on your, maybe not as a team from a team building and team player perspective, but if you need one wide receiver to be there to win you games, then I'm taking Stephon Diggs. Right now, we don't know where D-Hop is with injury. He's started to pick up a few injuries now. He's getting up there in age. We're not really sure where he is with that, hence the need for him to take a bit of a pay cut going into this next
how much, right?
Yeah.
How much?
Yeah. And how much of a pay cut is he willing to take will really determine kind of where he's able to go, because there are some other teams that are decent fits as well that don't necessarily have the cap space hanging around right now, like the New York Jets.
They were going to They were going to pay Odell Beckham up to $15 million with incentives. He just got a better deal, guaranteed. So how much of that money do you got left? How much you willing to throw at D-Hop? I don't know, but that's not a bad spot.
Yeah, exactly. And the Jets are in a win now. The Jets are pretty much shit. While we've got Rodgers, they've probably got Rodgers for 2 years. These people are saying Rodgers, we don't know if he's going to retire at the end of the season. It's if he wins the Super Bowl this year, then maybe he retires straight after the Super Bowl.
Or if they just have an ass awful year, maybe. But other than that, I agree.
Yeah. If there's somewhere in between, he's there to he's there. He's probably gone in and said look, let's build this over 2 years. Let's get everybody in the door now, build some chemistry, then head straight into the next year and head straight for that. So you've got a 2-year Super Bowl window right now to win games. And who knows, Aaron Rodgers might change Zach Wilson, and that extends the Super Bowl window, or you strike lucky in the draft or something like that. But but right now they have a 2-year Super Bowl window. Go get DeAndre Hopkins because their wide receiver room, whilst much improved and with the rookie offensive player of the year in the room, would look a lot better with DeAndre Hopkins in it, like with that experienced number one wide receiver in the room.
Yeah, I also think if you can sign him, and I don't know where they keep coming up with this cap money, but they do, the Browns is not a bad place if you think Deshaun Watson's going to be Deshaun Watson again. But them drafting DRT makes me think they're not positive that Deshaun Watson's going to be Deshaun Watson again.
Yeah, I'm not totally convinced by the Browns, to be honest, as an actual like destination that they can get. I mean, I don't mind.
Defense is going to be good again.
Yeah, I also don't mind pairing him with Amari Cooper. I think he would be quite a good. Him and Amari Cooper would be quite a good foil for each other. Like I think
Landry's
they would go
gone
well together. Yeah, I think they would kind of dovetail well together as like kind of.
And Deshaun and D-Hop grew up playing together their young years in the NFL.
Yeah, like all of that makes sense. So every single there are lots of things that make sense about the Browns, apart from D-Hop wants to be on a contender. And yes, the Browns have the roster to be a contender, but do we believe that everything in that building right now is not just going to be the Browns being the Browns? It feels like the Browns have been contenders for the past 5-6 years.
And it is still Cleveland.
Yeah, exactly. It's the Browns being the Browns, which, yeah. And I've never been to Cleveland, so I can't really speak on it too much, but I've not heard the greatest things. Let's just put it that way for big superstar athletes.
Well, I've been to Cleveland, and it's the armpit of America, one of them. So
wow.
Detroit being the other armpit, and we won't even get into what Buffalo is. But and it's not even Buffalo, actually. It's Niagara Falls, U.S., but it's a suburb. And if you see the U.S. side and then walk across the border, you're like, what the fuck are we doing here? But that's a whole – this isn't a geography fucking economic and geography class.
Yeah. To throw another team out there that's probably quite unrealistic is the Dallas Cowboys. Just putting that out there.
I got an unrealistic team that wouldn't shock me if they did something. And how about the 49ers?
That would be fucking wild. Like, I'm sorry, the 49ers, like, I know we can do stuff with cap space, but there's no way that the 49ers can make that work.
Oh, they can make it work, especially on a 1-year deal, right? So you give him $12 million with a $4 million base salary or a bonus. You give him like a $4 million base salary, give it a bonus, 2 void years. There you go. It's already done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Quarterbacks on rookie contracts as well.
I think here's the thing.
That would be mad.
Whatever Sam Darnold was ever going to be, we will find out this year.
Yeah, I mean, Sam Darnold is the greatest arm talent that the 49ers have ever seen.
Stop.
Better than Joe Montana, better than Vince Young.
Steve Young, yeah. Even Garcia, who was a really good quarterback. Not a Hall of Famer, but a really good quarterback. So, like that's – when I heard that, I was like, get the fuck out of here with that. Like the kid was talented. I get that. But to use the statement ever in an organization that rich in quarterback talent, it's like, come on.
Yeah. If he walked into the Chicago Bears and they said he's the greatest arm talent we've ever seen, that would make a lot more sense because the Bears have never had 4,000 yards.
Jay Cutler's the only guy you can argue. Like, so yes, I agree with you. Yes.
Yeah. They've also never had a season where a quarterback has thrown for more than 4,000 yards. Just to put that in perspective, Dak Prescott has done it like 3 times, I think. Oh no, Dak Prescott's done it once. I think Kurt's done it twice. Cousins.
4,000?
4,000.
I think I just read something that Kirk had 5 or 7 years of 4,000 or something like
Right.
that. But
Maybe I'm thinking 5,000.
you might
But
be thinking 5 because I'm betting Dak has more than
more than one, right?
Yeah, because 4,000's the new 3,000. You know what I mean? Like in the NFL,
Yeah.
so they throw a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, like obviously, just to add to Dak had 4,000 yards. He has 2 in 2019 and
Maybe then
2020.
I read a different stat. It don't matter, but
but also the Bears have still never had a 4,000 yard quarterback. Just to throw that out there, which is quite fun. So yeah, Sam Darnold probably would be the best arm talent for them. But when you've got Joe Montana and Steve Young, and I mean, even people like Colin Kaepernick, like would be interesting to know if they think Colin Kaepernick when he was in his prime is better or worse than Sam Darnold. That would be interesting to know, like what they thought about that.
Yeah, I just don't. We'll see, because I really think he's going to end up starting the year. Because I mean, even if Brock Purdy's back at training camp with that arm and the rehab, and I still think you almost end up starting Sam Darnold no matter what happens.
Does he beat out Trey Lance? Just to totally derail this podcast, like this is a podcast of its own, but does Sam Darnold beat out Trey Lance? Yes or no? Right now,
I mean, the way it sounds when you listen to the talking heads, that it's already a done deal.
Yeah, I mean, they also, like, the 49ers also came out and said that Trey Lance has improved massively since his second year. He's done everything right and has come back and improved massively.
And that's the setup for who wants to come get him. Right? Like that kind of.
I'm excited for Sam Darnold to look fucking amazing. I'll finally be proved right after 3 years of saying it. He looked good for the Panthers.
Yes, I think he beats him out, and here is why.
Yeah.
Because they want to win a Super Bowl right now, and they don't want to train a guy on the job, and Darnold's got more experience.
Okay. There we go. But then Brock Purdy comes straight back in as soon as they...
unless Sam Darnold lights the fucking world on fire, yes.
Yeah, unless Sam Darnold unless they've won every game until that point.
Yeah, if Sam Darnold's 5-1 and Brock Purdy's ready to go and he looked pretty convincing, I don't think you bring him back in. But
you just leave him for a bit. You've not got enough invested in Brock Purdy to like worry about him being on the sideline. But anyway, sorry, different podcast. But yeah, I mean, the 49ers just bringing in somebody like that would just be I would have to call it.
I would have said the Vikings before they drafted Addison.
Yeah. The Vikings seem happy with what they've got right now.
Right, but they were looking for somebody to replace Thielen, and they got Addison in the draft. So, and I know they had talks with OBJ, but there was no way they were going to pay him $15 million. And they were talking to DJ Chark and those. So they were looking. So if they wouldn't have got Addison in the draft, I would have said, okay, this is a possibility. But now I don't think it's a possibility at all.
Yeah, definitely. I think the Cowboys are interesting in terms of like with CeeDee Lamb has number 1 wide receiver potential 100%, but he's better at underneath. He's better underneath and beat men underneath and break tackles and all of that. So he can do both, but he's much better at one side of it. So yes, we have Brandon Cooks now to take the top off and do that role, which is exciting and really fun. But if you add D-Hop into that, and just to add to this mix, you also have Mike McCarthy on his Mike McCarthy has been the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys for 4 years now. Like, that's fucking crazy. How's he not been sacked yet? I'm baffled. But
how many years does he have left on his contract? Because Jerry does not like to pay 2 coaches.
Yeah. I have no idea, but hopefully not that many. But why would we give him any more than 4 after he was just all?
Well, my guess is he probably signed a 5-year deal, so maybe he's only got 1 year left on that deal.
Yeah, which further adds to this point of, and now he's calling all the plays, which is smart because he can't even keep a look at the clock. But anyway, still no bother. He's calling all the plays now, so maybe he wants a new fun shiny toy to go get. And D-Hop, or that Jerry would love to get D-Hop with the star on the side of his helmet, the guy who made his career playing in Houston, and now he's going to win his Super Bowl playing for the Cowboys. Like, all of that kind of stuff will really get Jerry to sign off on that. The only issue is with the Cowboys is we only have $9 million in cap space. Right now, you can make it work, but $9 million is about middle of the pack for the league.
You know, this wouldn't be out the realm of possibilities as a Howie Roseman type move either.
Oh, just don't even put it out into existence. Don't
them EAGLES Eagles.
Just don't even put it into existence. They're not allowed to have 3 number 1 wide receivers. Like
fly Eagles fly.
There are two teams that aren't allowed to improve their roster anymore, and it's the fucking Eagles.
Well,
and
if he goes to the Eagles, I hope he holds out till week 3.
Yeah.
We play them Thursday night, week 2. So I'm like, I fucking already got to play this team. Let's not add this. Okay, because even when we beat the Cardinals last year, I remember Patrick Peterson draped over D-Hop, and D-Hop just one-handed that ball in the end zone. And Patrick Peterson was in perfect position. And D-Hop just said, let me get that with one hand. So, like, I don't need that again.
You can't have A.J. Brown, D-Hop, Devontae Smith, and a ridiculously strong run game, and that all work. Like, there's no way that people give up that much ego. There's no way.
Okay, I think Howie Roseman is a very good GM. Okay,
unbelievable GM.
I think Swift is going to get fucking injured because he always gets injured. He's not tough. And you're going to be mad that you don't have a guy that's going to put his head down and go straight up the middle in Swift.
Although you do probably want Swift in your fantasy team for the first 3-4 weeks of the season.
And if you're in our league, you want any running back who's going to fucking start in.
When you've got a 14 person league. Yeah.
Wide receivers you can get, like running backs are fucking tough. And we got smart players. So they'll pick up like quarterbacks they don't even ever play, so you can't have them.
Yeah, we've got people who we're now in a position where we've got actual fucking rivalries going on as well, like within things. So it's like if I'm the pick after you, you'll just pick the guy that you know I need.
Right.
Like if we're getting later down, you'll just pick the guy that you know I need.
Or if you have the higher draft or waiver wire and you know they need something, you're gonna go grab it and just sit on it for a week. Yeah.
That came in that actually really bit me in the I can't remember who I was playing in the playoffs or just I was playing somebody and they didn't have a single quarterback. So I just drafted all of the quarterbacks on the board, bar one. And I can't remember who it was. However, I think do you know what? It was the week where PJ Walker played for the Panthers and just lit it up for played 4 touchdowns or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, I'm not worried about PJ Walker, but I'll take the other 3 quarterbacks off the board.
Yeah.
So you had to be stuck with PJ Walker. That was really annoying. But yeah, so so for all you fantasy guys out there, you really want Swift to start off with. Also, if anybody in our draft takes Austin Eckler from me, the pick before I pick again, I will fucking lose my shit. Take Austin Eckler a few picks before me, but when I think I'm gonna get him, and then literally the pick before Austin Eckler goes, I will lose my fucking mind.
I just remember when I drafted Stephon Diggs, and you go, I thought you can't stand Diggs. I said I can't, but I ain't stupid either. I just not dumb either. Yeah. So I do have a question for you, though. So before the season or before the off season started, it was a dead gone conclusion. The Minnesota Vikings were getting rid of Dalvin Cook in a trade, in a release, or whatever. So I've heard from a couple internet sources, right? Because who knows how true all this is, that Miami before the draft offered the Vikings a 5th round pick, and they said no. Which I would have thought they'd have just jumped on it just to get out because I thought they wanted out of all that money. Dalvin refuses to take a pay cut. He was very clear about that. So now the Vikings are saying that it's coming out that they were going to release him as of June 1 to save all that money. And now just 2 days ago, it comes out that They're talking because Dalvin's willing to take a pay cut. What the fuck happened there?
Yeah. I'm just reading something from the Bleacher Report now where it's saying like, who's this? Jeremy Fowler? Yeah, Jeremy Fowler is saying like that Dalvin Cook is in South Florida and he's been cleared of his torn labrum. He's good to go. And the Vikings are willing to hold on to his $40 million cap hit for now until they figure out what to do.
Right. That's what's been going on. But he finally, I guess, is willing to talk to them about a pay cut. So the only thing I can think of is, did his agent come to him and go, look, I'm just making up numbers, everybody. I don't know what they offered. But the Vikings saying, we'll give you 8 a year. And he's like, you ain't going to get better than 5 on the open market. I mean, is that something that's going on? Because he was steadfast that he didn't want to take a pay cut. And I know part of it's money. But if you're going to get released, I felt like he wanted out of Minnesota, but maybe that's not the case. I'm not sure. But this whole thing caught me weirdly off guard.
The fact that there's a possibility of him staying in Minnesota seems absolutely fucking crazy. And what is also crazy is about how quickly this running back market, market has just fallen off an absolute cliff, and it's all down to Ezekiel Elliott.
So quickly though, my friend Sam Munson
that's nice.
Graded the Vikings the other day on PFF, and I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
And the kid we drafted out of UBA, the running back, I don't know why he's slipping. Him and the other dude he does the show with called that the steal of the draft, getting a 3rd round guy in the 7th round. Plus, we re-signed Alexander Madsen for 2 years. We have Naganu and we have Chandler, who they've had high hopes for. They were talking last year before he got injured. Is there room? Do you keep Dalvin? It's really weird to me because I was resigned to the fact that he was gone. You know what I mean? And now it's very strange how this is playing out. Yeah.
So making up numbers, if it is that 8 million with the Vikings, what would you do with that 8 million instead of Dalvin Cook?
Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson.
Just give it straight to them. Yeah, that's probably
JJ's going to get a huge contract before the season even starts. And Ravens you sign him after their 3rd fucking year. Like, just seriously, look at Howie Roseman. He saw Jalen Hurts and he was like, just pay him. Like, just pay him now. Yeah.
I mean, Justin Jefferson's probably gonna smash through the $30 million.
And then and next year, Jamar Chase is going to get paid before his 4th year starts. Do you know what I mean? Just pay these. If you know you're going to keep them, pay them early. Because 2 years from now, that awful contract the media was talking about is going to look good.
Yeah, and the way the cap is growing so much now that like those contracts are just getting swallowed up. Now, Dak Prescott's contract actually looks semi-decent. I remember saying, like, do you know what? It's not actually the worst team.
No, but he's got you guys by the balls after this offseason.
Yeah, we're kind of fucked again later on. But anyway, that's by the by. It's not as bad as what everybody else was making it out to be.
Tip of the hat to his agent. That's all I'm saying.
Well done to him. Dak and Kirk Cousins. Are pretty much the same fucking QB, and they have the same strategies of playing the
That's
NFL.
So disrespectful, but we'll let that go. The difference is that Kirk wants a 3-year deal. The Vikings want to give him a 2-year deal. That's why the conversation stopped. I know the media go, oh, he didn't get an extension, so he's gone. He wants to retire there. He made it clear. He wanted a 3-year deal. They want a 2-year deal. They will figure that shit out. And by the end of the year, Kurt will be extended and the Vikings will go shopping for their future quarterback. You know what I mean? But Dak and Kirk play the good game of fuck you, pay me.
Just to take it back to Dalvin Cook, I'm really not sure why teams aren't jumping on him. Like it is this idea that, to be honest, like, the running back is a completely devalued position right now. And slightly injury prone, still one of the best running backs in the NFL, right? On his day, like 100%. I mean,
we don't beat the Bills if he doesn't bust that fucking 63-yarder.
Yeah, 100%. And I'm sat there and I'm like, Cowboys, if you have $5 million, like we'll take Dalvin Cook like straight away. Like
So,
Tony Pollard and Dalvin Cook out the backfield sounds beautiful.
And if that would have came out of the Vikings camp, I'd have been like, oh, they're just pushing to still try to trade him. Yeah. But it came from Dalvin himself, like his camp, that Dalvin's talking to them according to his agent.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's going to have to go the same way as D-Hop. Like, I think if the Vikings want to get rid of him now, they're going to have to release him. That's the way that's going to have to go.
The way it sounded, they never had a problem with just releasing him. They just weren't doing it till June 1st because that's when the biggest cap savings is, right? So,
yeah.
But it reminds me of the Adrian Peterson deal a little bit, where the Vikings offered him $6 million a year. He said no, and he ended up playing for the Saints for less than $2 million.
Yeah.
Because he thought he was worth 10.
Yeah. With running backs, it's so difficult because Dalvin Cook could look at the market right now and go, I'm better than that guy, that guy, that guy, that guy, that guy. 100%. And most of the time, he's probably fucking right. But in the past 2 years, since those guys that you're better than got their contracts, the running back market has gone through the floor. Like there has been a running back market crash in the past 2-3 years, basically since Todd Gurley got his contract and Ezekiel Elliott got his contract.
I'm looking right now, but I know Hunt is still a free agent. What running backs are still out there? Because like there's still some big name running backs. I just can't remember them all. Yeah, I can't find it on top of my head, but Kareem Hunt's still out there too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Zeke is still out there. Is he not?
Yeah. Yeah, like there's a handful of like decent running backs who are still out there too. So I'm just not sure. Maybe Dalvin's agent came to him and go, look, what they're offering you is the best you're going to get.
Yeah, they honestly, I don't see him making it back.
I could see them, if he's willing to just tear his deal up and take a pay cut, I could see them going, here's X amount of dollars this year, and you're a free agent next year, and you can just walk.
Yeah, and I mean, for guys like Dalvin Cook who are kind of aging, slightly injury prone, but like aging but not old, slightly injury prone but not always injured, and still at the top of their game, a prove it year could be the kind of thing that would.
Isn't it crazy?
The kind of thing that he needs.
Isn't it crazy in the NFL 28 is kind of old?
Yeah, I mean, when you're a 28-year-old running back, you've been getting a shit.
You're right. You're absolutely right. It's just like crazy. Like that's like fuck. That's crazy.
There's other positions where it's not the same. So offensive line,
quarterback.
Yeah, offensive line, quarterback. I mean, there's certain like linebacker. Hey, wide receivers are getting a bit older, like that kind of thing.
But didn't Deion play till he was 36 or 38? Deion Sanders. So you know,
you get that, and they're becoming less the anomaly and more the thing. And like as sports science improves and all of that, but there's nothing that sports science can do about running backs who get killed in high school because their coach wants to win a championship. They get killed in college because their coach wants to win a championship. And then they get to the NFL and they've got 2-3 good years before they go off again. The running backs at college level really need to start saying, like, look, you need to run me less because I want to get to the end. Like when you've already put that good shit on tape. So say you have an amazing freshman year, an amazing sophomore year at college, you just fake an injury and sit out for all of the third year and get drafted in the 5th, 6th round. I don't
even think it'd be held against you if you were a top running back and you just said, I'm not playing my junior year because I'm not taking the wear and tear. And NFL teams, now the media will beat you up, but NFL teams will still not use that against you when drafting. I don't think they will, but I think we're coming to a new era of Soon as your rookie contract's up, see ya.
For running backs, especially. Like
that's what I meant. For running backs, soon as your contract's up, see ya.
Yeah, and I think it's like if you're special, so like Saquon Barkley, I still like honestly the stuff with Zeke, like.
Do you think there's a running back that's actually worth $10 million a year though against your salary cap right now with how many running backs there are in the NFL that can play?
Yeah, I mean those guys that can do both. So you have guys like Austin Eckler, Christian McCaffrey, like
okay, and to me, Christian McCaffrey is just an offensive weapon.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't think Austin Eckler gets another big contract after this year, where he's a free agent.
Yeah, I just see that as fucking crazy because the guy's like leading in touchdowns.
Right. So, but I think what teams look at is yes, Austin Eckler is better than these 5 guys.
Yeah.
But Austin Eckler at $10 million or one of these guys at $4 million or $3 million.
Yeah.
Then I can stick that other money somewhere else. And this guy is still a very good back.
Yeah. I mean, I just get that. I think guys like Austin Eckler, guys like Tony Pollard, guys like Christian McCaffrey, maybe not Christian McCaffrey as much, have also had less wear and tear as well. So they're a bit more valued for longer. And it's not like Austin Eckler's been doing it behind the offensive line of the fucking 49ers. Like he's been doing it at the Chargers as well. So it's because a lot of running back stuff now is also system based. It's a lot more like, right, we gap block this space, we gap block this zone, and you just fucking run through it. Like, don't do anything else. Like, don't get creative with it.
And if you're on a team like the new Vikings who throw the ball around a ton, do you now Mike Zimmer would have valued a running back, I think, way more than Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah, 100%. And I think you have those, like, there is room for creativity at the running back position and just being fucking good at being a running back.
I'm also, I want to know your thought on this because I keep forgetting to ask you. You and I are like, unless it's super late and you're a contender, do not draft a running back in the first round.
Yeah.
If you think that there's a generational talent or a guy that could be one of the best in the NFL for 4 or 5 years, I'm starting to think you just take him, run out that 5-year contract, and let him walk.
I believe you're referencing Bijan Robinson to the Atlanta Falcons. Is that what we're kind of talking about?
Well, I don't like that he went to the Atlanta Falcons. I was more thinking of
no fucking sense.
I can't remember the kid's name that went to Detroit.
Right, let's not disrespect this guy's name. Let's get his name.
Okay, as you're looking it up, the reason I ask is because a lot of people had him rated as high as Bijan Robinson. So let's take the argument that he's as good as what we think Bijan Robinson would be. So a lot of people think Detroit is a contender. Do you not take a guy and then just use him for the 5 years and let him walk now?
Yeah, so Jamar Gibbs is the guy.
Go.
But like you sit there and I totally disagree with the process of the Atlanta Falcons drafting him. I think it's
I disagree with the Falcons, but because by time they're good, he's getting old.
Also, the only room that they have that is any good is that running back room. And like, all right, Cordero Patterson, they play at wide receiver, but they also like he is the fucking running back for that team as well. Like they had Algier, who was really good. Like it just didn't make any sense to me. Especially because of how bad everywhere else is and the other great players that they could have taken at that point. With Jamar Gibbs, I can't like Detroit are kind of built to win right now. Like I'm high on the Detroit Lions roster.
When I say contender, I am not talking about this year being a Super Bowl contender. I believe though, they will be at the end of the year fighting for the playoffs. And once you get in, you just never know what can happen. I mean, the Giants proved it twice with shitty record. Got in there, got hot, won the whole thing. But
I think I think with drafting the running back and then taking them on and then kicking them out in the 5th year, you lose a valuable amount of experience at the position when you do that, and a valuable amount of knowing the scheme.
But then you end up paying these guys right now. These top guys were getting 14, 15 million, which is.
So where I see is not necessarily doing that, but just the running back market is just in the fucking floor right now. Like unless you're Christian McCaffrey and can play wide receiver and running back, or you're like.
Do you feel like the Cowboys are Super Bowl contenders, even if it's a distant, immediate? Do you?
Yeah, 100%.
Would you be mad if they would have drafted either of those dudes in the first round if they thought that was their missing link to getting to a Super Bowl? I'm starting to change my mind on this depending on how good your team is. That's what I'm asking you. But I've had weeks to think about this. I just sprung this on you.
Yeah, I mean, if they fell to the Dallas Cowboys where we were picking at 24, somewhere around there. If they fell to the Dallas Cowboys there, then that's decent value. Like that makes sense. But we've had a massive hole on the defensive interior for like however many years. Like it feels like we've had a hole on the defensive interior since I've been supporting the Cowboys. So I would also be just a bit like fuck. Like
see, because there's 5 or 6 teams in that would have took him, either of those guys in the first round, and I'm like maybe even 8 teams, and I'm like, okay, because you're thinking to yourself, I can get to a Super Bowl before his 5-year rookie contract's over.
Yeah, 100%. As long as we've drafting running back number 1 overall. Just I'm still on the side of you have to be a contender to do that. Like
that's it. But I'm more and more, if you're a contender, like if the Chiefs did it, if the Bills did it, if Cincinnati would have done it. I don't even mind that Detroit did it. I have a problem with Atlanta doing it.
Yeah, that makes no fucking sense. Like right now, the way the NFL is, you can't build a roster around the running back. Like you just can't do it. As much as the Giants are somehow trying to do that with Saquon Barkley right now, like you just can't do it. It's not doable. You can build it around a stable of running backs like the 49ers are doing. Maybe that's what Atlanta is going for. They're building around this stable of running backs. But yeah, with the amount of holes that they had, that made no fucking sense to me whatsoever.
I agree with that one. I mean, we both agree that was just like, what are you doing? But the more I was always really against like first round running backs over the last like 5-6 years. But the more I think about it and the more I ponder it, I'm like, if you're a contender, you can run his 5-year contract out. You do not have to re-sign him for $15 million a year.
Yeah. I still don't think it's great process to do it with a running back, but when you're 100% sure that he's going to be good, or 90%, 95%.
Minus injury, he's going to be a good running back. You can really tell.
Yeah, then it makes sense to do it as a contender rather than going to the free agent market and having to delve into this guy or who might be asking for $5 million or whatever.
I still can't believe Kareem Hunt's out there.
Yeah. Checkered history maybe adds to it, but
you know what? I forgot about that until you just said it.
Yeah, I think it adds to it, but there's Deshaun Watson still in the fucking NFL.
Nobody talks about Tyreek Hill.
Nobody talks about Tyreek Hill. Ben Roethlisberger played in the NFL for a long time. Like,
Tyreek Hill broke his kid's arm. Nobody talks about it.
Yeah. So don't get me wrong. I don't think it's just that, but I imagine his work.
I forgot though. I literally forgot that until you said it. Like I was yeah.
It's if your workouts aren't as good as you expect them to be, and you have that off-field stuff, then maybe that kind of harms you a lot more than.
And the difference between them and Joe Mixon is Joe Mixon slapped a girl while he was in college who put her hands on him first. I'm not justifying it, but you can look at it and go, he was in college. He did something stupid and he's never done anything dumb again. The guys we just talked about did it while they were in the league.
Yeah. Yeah. Did it while they're adults. Like by that point, and you're not an adult in college, but just in college, you're just like fucking trying to work your shit out.
We don't need to get into the whole development of the frontal lobe and all that stuff, but people get it.
Yeah, just a point on this running backs as well. By the way, they get the shit kicked out. Not that it's not that other positions don't get the shit kicked out of them, but running backs get the shit kicked out of them as they're developing into their full bodies. Like linebackers obviously get the shit kicked out of them. Like linebackers are obviously mental people who put their body in harm's way all the time, tackling people like Derrick Henry, who's a person we haven't mentioned at all when we've been talking about running backs, but he's fallen off a cliff to, I think, this next year. I wouldn't pay him 10 million either. But anyway, linebackers are putting their fucking body in the way of these guys and doing all of that. But when you're at college, you don't do that as much more. You have a chance to kind of develop into your body. As a running back, you're getting hit and smashed and fucked up pretty much from the age of, like, when do you start playing full contact? Like 15 till the age of, like, what now? Dalvin Cook's 28. So, yeah.
I think in Texas it's 8 when tackle football starts.
So stupid and ridiculous.
So, and my school was 7th grade. So however old you are in 7th grade, 13.
Yeah. Yeah. With rugby, you play semi-contact for a year from 13 to 15. 13 to 14, you play semi-contact for a year, and then you play contact from 14 upwards. In rugby, you play semi-contact so you can get used to, like, being hit and how to fall over properly. And
in hockey here, you can start checking in peewees, which I think is 10 and 11.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking crazy. I've been getting into hockey, Jay. We've been talking about this, and I would like to just quickly mention it.
In person, it is the best sport to watch.
So great. So great. And obviously in massive fan parks as well, where everybody's going fucking crazy. And to those of you who don't know what we're talking about, I live in Latvia, and Latvia have just done the best that they've ever done in the ice hockey. And today they beat the USA. Yes, Jay rightly puts out that the NHL season is still going on and the college kids are there, but don't take this away from the whole country of Latvia. They only have 1.8 million people there.
Great for them. I still had to throw my US cape on. I just had to, but okay.
Yeah, but the Latvians finished 3rd in the World Championships, and it was hosted in Riga and Finland. So it's been going absolutely fucking mental here. And the Latvian goalkeeper just got awarded the MVP of the whole championship. So that's pretty fucking great as well. Latvia Uzvara means Latvia victory. So.
Okay, so they always say quarterback is the hardest position in all of sports to play. I don't disagree, but I think goalie is the second hardest position in sports to play in hockey, because not only do you have to be a great goalie, you have to be able to skate, and that is where it becomes a very difficult thing. And a great goalie, because soccer, now goalies are important, but you guys have huge nets.
Yeah.
In hockey, a goalie can win you a championship.
Yeah, handball goalies as well, weirdly, if you've ever got into handball, are like crazy important. It's pretty fucking mad. But ice hockey, I always thought, until I've watched every game that Latvia played in this World Championship, right? So I've actually been like getting into hockey, and I was a bit into it before because it's the national sport of Latvia. So I've watched a few games and stuff. But I've always thought, how do the goalies let any fucking goals in when they're wearing all those massive pads and the goals are tiny, right? But the puck is minuscule, and the fuckers are wearing a massive mask, so you can't see a thing, and they can skate around the back of you and just flick it in. So you have to have like eyes in the back of your head. If it deflects, you've got to like move out. Like your mitts have only one of them's got the catcher's mitt on it and the glove, so it makes it harder to fucking catch the thing. Like fucking amazing, great sport.
NHL defensive players can hit slap shots well over 100 miles an hour. And wrist shots can go over 70. So, like, if you think about a goalie trying to stop that puck screaming through the air at 100 miles an hour.
I'm convinced they don't see it. It's all in the, like, it's the reaction of the save, like, the save, and then the second save is the important one.
Yeah, that's, as a defense, you should never be letting your goalie have to save a rebound. But that's a whole nother.
But you just can't like see shit. Like on that second save, they can't see anything either. They've just got to like have the feel for it. I quite like when like everybody's just mellying around like at the goalkeeper, so the goalkeeper just lies down like backwards into the goal.
There is no more exciting playoffs in the world than NHL playoffs, and the finals are on if you need to check some out.
Yeah, I think I will. And I mean, Latvia have also won. Also, I love the overtime in ice hockey, by the way. This 3-on-3 for 5 minutes overtime stuff is genius.
That's not every league.
Yeah, I didn't think it would be. but it's still fucking
So,
brilliant.
like,
It's so
some
exciting.
leagues start at 5-on-5, then go to 4-on-4 for the second one, 3-on-3. Some of them go 5-on-5 and then just keep going, and then some go to shootouts at some point. But I like the 4-on-4 and the 3-on-3 because you got so much room.
The World Championships go 3-on-3 and then to penalty shootouts. But Latvia have gone to overtime 3 times in this World Championships and won all 3. They're really good at 3-on-3. It's pretty fucking wild. They also have a gold medal.
Them automatic entrance to the Olympics?
I don't know.
Or I mean, winning in the top 3, does it?
Hopefully.
Some of those tournaments are automatic qualifiers for the Olympics, so that would be very cool. That's all.
I'll have to check it out. Well, also, they won their first summer gold medal in the last Olympics in 3-on-3 basketball. So they're just really good at 3-on-3 sports, I guess.
Nice.
It just looks like that. They're just unbelievable at 3-on-3. It's wild.
All right, guys. Well, make sure you check out some of those NHL playoffs too, and hopefully we'll get to see Lafayette play in a lot more international games.
All right. Yeah. And next season, I say we branch out and start making some NHL content, and I'll just try and get into it because it'll be quite fun to like try and explain like the actual intricacies of hockey to me. I think I like understand what's going on, but like I couldn't tell you why or any of the tactics behind it.
I've had a lot, and this is the most basic one, but you're right. There's little things. So, because I grew up playing it my whole life, I had more than one person ask me in my life, don't you think they should ban fighting in hockey? No, you can't. Not at that level. Because if you banned fighting in the NHL, your best players would no longer have knees.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
The other team would just take your best player out with no repercussion.
Yeah. Not worried about it.
Worried about it. Those enforcers are what keep your best players safe.
Do you get 2-minute penalties for punching people in the face in the NHL?
5. And you can get a major and be gone. You can get a major and be gone. I think it's 10, or you can get ejected depending on how bad shit is too.
Yeah. So
what you will see is once they hit the playoffs, there's rarely ever a fight.
Yeah. Latvia got absolutely robbed by the referees against Canada in the semifinals. Then just putting this out there. So we can talk more about this. We can talk more about this later.
Yeah, because they probably just called roughing instead of fighting.
Yeah, so Latvia had a 5-minute penalty and then a 20-minute suspension on that player for him. So the guy pushes him on the chin, and the Swedish guy goes back and then throws his hands up in the air, like in a.
Oh, you don't see a lot of flopping in hockey, so okay.
Swedish guy flopped, man. Like when he realized he could get him like taken out, and he got a 5-minute penalty and 20-minute suspension. I was like, right, okay, if that's the rule, that's the rule. Like whatever. This Canadian guy in the next game fucking socks a Latvian like straight to the face, like glove off, punches him straight to the face, and then puts the fucking glove back on, and then skates off. Right, 2-minute suspension, and then the bastard. 15 minutes of game time later, scores the winning goal. So he should have had a 5-minute suspension. He should have had a 5-minute penalty and a 20-minute suspension if we're going off what happened to Latvia in the quarterfinal. But the fucker, like, just got away with it. Absolutely got away with it.
Yeah, they must have called roughing instead of a fighting penalty, but yeah.
Yeah, it was quite funny, all the Latvians saying, like, oh, well, the referee is American. So obviously he's supporting Canada. And I was like, yeah, you don't understand the American-Canadian relationship, I don't think.
I don't think anybody in America hates Canadians, but I also don't believe that a ref is going to go out of his way to help Canada win a fucking game because we're not like, yeah, Canada.
In sport, you don't like each other too much. Like in ice hockey, you've got to have a rivalry in ice hockey.
We do, because they like to falsely claim they invented the sport, but okay.
What was quite funny was that I was like joking around saying like, well, obviously they're rigging it so that they can get the ratings for a Canada versus USA final. But then the Germans beat the USA in the last minute in the semifinal anyway. So it's just like, all right, okay. Must have got that wrong.
All right, guys. Well, you guys, thanks for watching. Hit that like and subscribe, and we'll be back with some more content. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.